Hi everyone, welcome to another Write With Me Wednesday on Tea Time Tales. This is Miriam, and today we're going to be talking about why your writing sounds boring. So grab your favorite hot drink and let's get into it. There are different types of writing voices. You can be charismatic and loud, and every time you speak, your hands are moving and you're all in the air and this is the only volume you know. And then you can also be depresso, espresso. Then you can be bored. Why am I here? I know I have to write this paper, but it's 2 a.m. and I can only make flower petals sound so interesting. I'm trying to tell you how intricate it is, and I've run out of material because I am tired and I didn't feel like researching. That's how some writing can come across. And I'm not saying that's you, but if that is you, or if you've ever been there, I've been there too. I've been tired, I've been over the top, I've been underwhelming. That's why we gotta learn about what tools we have and how to use them. So let's start with some writing examples, seeing how tonality affects the same scene but gives a different feeling for each of them. What feeling does this example give you? Stricken with grief and consumed with desperation, Sarah wandered to her place at the center of the stage and held her breath. Countless silhouettes of faces stared back at her as she was blinded by the spotlight. Her heart seized when her teammate gave their line, for soon it would be her turn. I don't know about you, but I feel intense, like, whew, a little hot in here when I read that. Number 2. Bouncing in her little shoes, Sarah peeked through the red curtain as the audience found their seats. When the clock struck the hour, she sprang to the center of the stage and held her breath. Countless faces of her friends and family met her as the spotlight shined on her from above. Her heart leapt when her teammate gave their line, for soon it would be her turn. Now that's pretty happy, that's pretty exciting. She is overjoyed. Example 3. Sarah took a deep breath as she listened to the sounds of people gathering and having brief conversations. But when the clock bell chimed on the hour, all fell silent. She opened her eyes as the red curtain was lifted and the spotlight blazed overhead. She gazed at countless silhouettes and imagined them disappearing until it was just her and the center of the stage. Her chest relaxed as she heard her teammate give their line, for now it was her turn. That one brings a anticipation with it, similar to the first example, however, without the angst. There's a little brief moment of angst, but that's not the overall feeling of that scene. It's preparedness. I'm ready. Let's go. So you can see in each example, I use similar language, similar phrasing. I mentioned the spotlight, I mentioned the center of the stage, I mentioned the silhouettes, the many faces, I mentioned the people, and I mentioned her teammate giving their line. Yet, each of those has a very, very different feeling when I put them together. With those examples in mind, let's look at your tonality. Keeping your tone consistent throughout the project is very important because it creates expectation and anticipation. If you are inconsistent, your reader may become confused or frustrated or even disappointed because that wasn't what they started with. If you start out with this hilarious, just knee slapper of a piece, and then all of a sudden you're talking about grief and heartbreak and hardship and romance and has zero context, zero relation to your previous humorous tone, I don't know about you, but I would be confused and I would also be a little annoyed because I'm not reading this because I was expecting a romance. I was expecting a quirky, funny adventure that seems to have been lost after I went through the first few chapters. Remaining consistent is very important. That said, there is a time when you may want to break your normal writing voice. Let's look at an example. If you're writing a very humorous piece that's just so quirky, but you want to add depth, number one, depth, or if you want to bring relief. Those are the two instances when I would suggest changing your tone, shaking things up. Now, that's not diverting from your tone more than an instant, but it can help bring the reader into a new light, intrigue the attention because something just changed. Let's start with relief. If you want to create relief in your overall story because maybe it's really heavy and serious, then you may throw in a joke. You may create a quirky moment, a funny happenstance, an awkward, that just caught me off guard moment. That can help a lot. You don't have to do it very often. If you do it just once in a while, it keeps the reader on their toes and makes the story richer. Because life is like that. And like I said before, writing is meant to represent things that happen in life. So in order to represent life, sometimes we throw in something you weren't expecting. Besides just the standard plots that we typically fall into, the overarching plot and the subplot. Oftentimes a moment that is humorous will be a lower plot, that being a character development moment. Frankly, they're just entertaining. Now, let's look at the other instance when you would want to use a change in your writing voice. Let's say you have a humorous piece that has been funny this entire time, and your characters are on their journey, on their quest to go find a shiny golden clam to get its pearl. Woo! But at the same time, life can be heavy. But if you throw in a moment where the really humorous character that's cracking all the jokes, making you laugh, is like, wow, that was really heavy, that was really hard. We had to just climb a mountain to get to the beach to find that golden clam. That can be awesome for bringing in depth. Because realistically, no one is at 100% all the time. Even the Depresso Espresso characters, yes, I like saying that, are not going to necessarily be sad all the time. They may have a lot of drama, a lot of tragedy, but when you throw in a little change in your writing voice, along with a character abnormality, it creates both that depth and relief depending on the situation. It makes the character feel alive, real, and like they grew. They became a little stronger or maybe a little weaker. That can put depth into your characters and bring relief at the same time. When your writing is consistent and your reader has an expectation for how the project is going to unfold, that is good because that associates you as the author into the story, and to the reader, that's now what they expect. That may not be the same case for every project, but if you generally write about horses and talking animals, people will associate that with your work. That can be a very great thing when it comes to branding and getting your name out there. With familiarity comes trust. If you build that trust between the reader and yourself, that is a very great relationship that you take care of as you remain in that consistency. Per project, stay within the realm of the world and the overall feel of it, because if you branch out too far, you're breaking that expectation and that relationship that you've built with the reader. Now, the top question for today is, how do you find your writing voice? We've talked so much about when to use it, how to use it, different aspects. But how do I find my writing voice? It comes down to practice. The more you write, the more you will begin to recognize the components we've talked about in your own style. That's why we've talked about the components and the different types that go into your writing voice. We've talked mainly about humor versus intense, dramatic, but there's also thriller, romance, adventure, fantasy. Recognizing those different aspects that create a writing voice from all these things all the way down to what is your writing, it begins to help you identify where you tend to lean when it comes to your writing. If an artist is drawing, they always have a little bit of a lean. They tend to lean to one side. So they flip the canvas so that they can correct it and make it straighter. My sister actually has a video on that on her Faces Part 1. The same thing happens when you write. You may not realize it at the moment, or maybe you have, but you will always have a tendency to lean one way or another when it comes to your category of writing. I tend to lean towards intense, dramatic scenes, which, if I'm not careful, can sometimes be a little over the top, a little bit overkill. But because I'm aware of that, I keep an eye out for that in order to tone things down a bit. If you are excited about your writing and passionate, that passion will come through your writing voice, and other people will get excited too. I do want to point out, however, that peer reviewing before you are publishing is an important step, because sometimes those things that you try and keep an eye out for, like me leaning on the dramatic side, sometimes we sit for so long writing the scene that we become blinded to things that may be obvious to others, and once they're pointed out to us, we can see them, but until then, we think it's the best thing in the world. Turns out it was maybe not. Having others who want to come alongside you on your writing journey to get your work out there, someone who won't just say, yeah, it's good. Someone who you can trust to give constructive criticism when you need it. I hope this video was helpful to you as you refine your writing style and find your writing voice, and you can enjoy, you can grow in, and others can enjoy too. So get out there and get writing.